All right, so it's NFL schedule release day, and as we've kind of talked about, the leaks have started, and it's not just a game here or there. It's, entire schedules. The Saints are one of those, so we're going to go through it game by game. We'll talk about stretches that are tough, the high points, the low points. Can they get off to a good start? Where's the lull potentially? But in doing that, keep in mind the conversation that we've had often here so far this offseason, and that's the Saints win total. You can maybe find a 7.5 out there still, but the majority of shops have New Orleans win total for the regular season set at 8. Over or under, coming back about a minus $1.10 for both the over and the under right now. So keep that in mind as we go through this here.
Yeah, you should. And we are going to go through it, game by game here. But the first thing that jumps all out to me, Musso, when you look at the Saints' leaked schedule, not official, it's leaked. Everybody's citing Nick Underhill. Kind of wonder if, Nick Underhill doesn't have a mole at the Saints organization or something. But just looking at the first 3 games here, supposedly the Saints are going to open at Atlanta, at home against the Buccaneers, then back on the road against the Panthers before they take the trip to London to play the Vikings in Week 4. But there's a world, a very likely world, where I think the Saints can maybe start the season 3-0 because at Atlanta, going up against Marcus Mariota, you should have a good chance just based on your defense. Then coming home against Tampa, I feel like the Saints can have anybody at quarterback and win that game, have anybody at any position offensively, and then their defense is going to do enough to win. Musso, yesterday I saw a video circulating of Trevor Siemian throwing a touchdown pass to Alex Arma in that game against Tampa
that happened
when the Saints won in New Orleans after Jameis Winston went down. So if a scenario like that can happen and the Saints can beat Tom Brady and company, I'm sure they can beat him pretty much at any time. Didn't happen in the playoffs, but regular season, they've had their number. So if the Saints are able to start 3-0, you're hedging a little bit early in the season, and maybe you have a chance at this to hit that win total and to reach your goals as a team.
It's definitely possible that they start 3-0. I think it's even more possible that it's 2-1, obviously. But yeah, look, I mean, the success that they've had against Tom Brady and the Buccaneers, and specifically because of their defense and at home, yeah, the Saints can absolutely win that football game. They'll be at the Panthers after that and then just board a plane and go overseas and probably spend the entire week in London. I mean, that's what they've done plenty of times. What is just brutal is you have no bye week before or after the trip to London. You'll come home and face the Seahawks, who they aren't great, obviously. Look, I mean, it's either going to be Geno Smith or Drew Lock in there at quarterback. And we've talked about the problems that Seattle has on defense, really, that they've had the last 2 years, and specifically pertaining to their pass rush, going up against an offensive line like the New Orleans Saints have. You like the Saints in that game at home. What is absolutely brutal about this schedule is your bye week comes in week 14. You have to play 13 straight weeks before you get a week off, and that includes a trip overseas. What makes it worse is the stretch you lead into before your bye week. That's really the tough stretch that I see kind of here that sticks out more than any on this Saints schedule is week 11, week 12, week 13, November 20th through December 5th. So week 11, you face the Rams at home. That's the defending Super Bowl champion Rams, obviously, right? After that, you travel across the country to face the 49ers, who were in the playoffs last year and made a little bit of noise. And then you travel back across the country to Tampa and face the Buccaneers on Monday Night Football. And then you will finally have a week off. That second Buccaneers game on Monday night could be a really tough ask out of a team that have played 13 straight weeks. You're going to have injuries probably by that time at some point. That's going to be a really tough spot. That whole 3-game stretch is really, really tough for the New Orleans Saints.
So what you're telling me is they pretty much had to start 3-0. It would behoove them greatly to get all to a good start.
It greatly, yes. I mean, you don't have to. I mean, what team was it? Was it 17 team that started 1-2? I mean, and look, they ended up winning the division and being very good. They went on that long stretch there in the middle of the year. So it would be great. If you start 2-1, I mean, you're not kicking yourself, obviously.
Yeah, and independent of that little stretch, a Week 14 bye week is wild. It's just absolutely wild.
That's unfortunate.
For a professional football team, like you said, after all those miles. And I don't know if you saw the list that came out the other day, but the Saints were in, I believe, the top 4 of most miles traveled by any NFL team for their travel. So that's absolutely insane. We were talking about it with Jake this morning off the bench, somebody who's obviously played a lot of NFL seasons. And he said that's like insane on the body to have 13 straight weeks of doing that and a London trip in there. That's just obnoxious, but not really surprised. NFL doesn't really seem to do the Saints many favors when it comes to this kind of thing. But one thing I do want to point out when I was talking about the Saints stretch to begin there and Tampa Bay Buccaneers coming to the Dome, it might be a little bit harder because I forgot to point out that the Saints probably will be serving some suspensions when that game goes down. Alvin Kamara, we don't know exactly what's going to happen with him, but based on the timeline and Marcus Maye's pending DUI trial, it looks like he will very likely miss the first at least couple of games. So you probably won't have him when you're facing Tom Brady in week 2, which won't help. But you will have Tyrann Mathieu, and that will help.
And that is something also to factor into this is you don't know when these suspensions are going to come down for somebody like Alvin Kamara, but you expect them to at some point. I mean, how long did the Deontay Hardy thing get drug out last year, right? You thought that was potentially going to be early in the season, and it wasn't. Hell, Marshawn Lattimore, he actually never even got suspended, which I think everybody's still surprised about.
Yeah, I don't know the exact details, but I think something to do with the new CBA. If it's a DUI, you will miss the first 3 games.
The first 3 games. So something to keep an eye on as well always is, man, the Saints and their record on holidays, right? They're pretty darn good at that. They do have a holiday game on Christmas Eve at 12 p.m. Central Time. They will travel up to Cleveland to face the Browns, and I'm assuming Deshaun Watson at quarterback there, which is going to be a very interesting game. In prime time, so the Saints in prime time. Thursday night football will be the Cardinals, week 7 on the road. They have 2 Monday night football games as well against the Buccaneers, week 13 before the bye, and the Ravens on November the 7th.
Oh, my God. No Sunday night game? No
Sunday
Sunday night
night
game for the
game.
Saints? I'm not going to get the jam out to Carrie Underwood in the press box.
I mean, yeah, not in the press box. I mean, you will just in general when you watch Sunday night football, but not for the New Orleans Saints. That is interesting. Another note, the Saints go to Philadelphia for like the 15th time in 15 years, it feels like. That's hyperbole. Obviously, it's and sarcasm. It's 3 times in 3 years, but come on, man.
I know I've stuck up for Jalen Hurts a little bit on this show, but for the most part, I'm kind of an anti-Jalen Hurts person, and it's going to be hilarious when the Saints are 0-3 against him next year.
It very much feels that way. I don't understand if you get to play the Eagles, why you can't at least have them come here after 2 years in a row going there.
They did that same thing last decade with Chicago. It felt like the Saints had to play there every single year. They just like sending them to Philadelphia, I guess. But we can't talk about the schedule without talking about the Week 6 matchup, which will confirm being the Superdome, not in England, between the Saints and the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm excited for that one on October 16th. Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, others returning to the Dome. Going to be a lot of emotions on Poydras Street that day.
That's going to be a fun weekend in general. So LSU plays Florida in Gainesville that Saturday, the day before, which means you don't really have to worry. I mean, obviously LSU, Florida, you're going to love that, right? But you don't have to worry about tailgating on campus for LSU and then packing up and going to New Orleans. You can enjoy the LSU-Florida game. Just it's an away game, and then head down to New Orleans for the Bengals. That's going to be a really, really fun weekend there. Mario, before we hit a break, let's go ahead here. Keep it in mind the over under 8 and kind of just go through the schedule.
Oh, I love this game.
Saints at Falcons week 1. W for the Saints, yeah? W for the Saints. Saints versus the Buccaneers week 2 at the Dome.
W.
I'll give them a W there too.
A.
Saints at Panthers.
I'm good
week
to go.
3.
I'm good to go L. I know I said 3-0 was feasible, but if we're being realistic, the Panthers, remember what happened last year? Early in the season, trip to Charlotte, some screwy things can go down.
You beat me to it. I was actually going to give them an L there too. So for a lot of the reasons you said, you have the trip coming up. And hell, who thought they were going to lose the game in Carolina last year?
And I'm sure that'll be one of the losses where, like, how did they lose it?
And look, the Panthers got off to a really fast start last year and then stumbled through the gate. So maybe some potential for that again. Vikings week 4 in London, 8:30 a.m. Good Lord.
Yeah, I'm going L here. The Vikings obviously really explosive offense. The Saints have not lost in London yet, but eventually all great things come to an end. Nope.
I'm going to give the Saints a W there. I think they can beat the Vikings. I like the Saints defense in that matchup a lot, going up against Kirk Cousins. So I'll take the Saints. So we both, I have them at 3-1. You have them at 3-2 right now. They come back home and face the Seahawks.
I'm going to give that one a W. Geno Smith, lock. You should get that one.
Yeah, I'm going to give that one a W too. Sloppy game, though, probably, for the Saints. So I'm at 4-1. I'll go ahead and say I think they lose to the Bengals at home.
L. Now I'm going to abbreviate a little bit. I'm either going to eat a W or hold up an L, and I'm holding up an L there.
Travel Cardinals short week on Thursday Night Football.
L's
for me as well. So let's see. What is that? I have them now 4-3. You have them
at 4-3 as well.
At 4-3 as well. From at Cardinals, they'll face the Raiders in week 8.
I'm going to go with the win. That's going to be a really good team, and that's going to be one where maybe the Saints overachieve a little bit, but let's go eat the W.
At home, I'll give them a win there too. Ravens, Monday Night Football. So a bit of a long week for the Saints here.
L to Lamar Jackson.
Prime time in the Dome. Give me the Saints. They will take that one and win that football game. So I am at, I should have wrote this down. I'm at 6 wins, I think, now.
Yeah.
6 wins. Yeah. At the Steelers.
I'm going to go W. Eating the W.
Yeah, I mean, Steelers are tough to figure out. I think I'll give the Saints a W there too. So that's 7 already. They will lose to the Rams.
Yeah, they're going to lose to the Rams.
I think that 49ers, it'll be America's game of the week, 325. It's on the road. That's a really tough one. And I think they lose.
You got to find a way to get one of these
I know,
three.
and that's what I do because I don't think they're going to beat the Buccaneers either.
Yeah, well, I think they're going to beat San Francisco, but then lose to the Buccaneers. Go 1-3 in that stretch of death before your Week 14 bye.
Yeah, your Week 14 bye. You'll hopefully get rested up. You'll beat the Falcons after that, so that would give you your 8. You're right on the number in my predictions, and you have to get one of the next 3 to go over. And you should be able to do that, Browns, Eagles, or Panthers. I think you can actually beat the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, I think so too. Again, the Saints are a team that will take some L's. That's like, how'd you lose that game? But they'll overachieve because of their defense and get some that maybe they weren't supposed to. So I think they can maybe hit that 8 or 9 win sweet spot. But we're also doing this a long time before the season.
No.
So,
And I think they lose to the Eagles, and I think they beat the Panthers at home, and they end up 9-7. And hopefully, look, that's right where you were last year. Hopefully, that's enough to get you in this year. We'll see. I mean, I think it might be. Now, again, they could end up with 10 wins. I could see that for sure. I mean, maybe they do beat the 49ers. Maybe they do get one out of that stretch. Or, maybe we're wrong and they beat the Cardinals on the road on the short week on Thursday Night Football. I mean, there's plenty of areas there. But, I think 9-7 is a good conservative estimate, and I still like the over on that 8.
Yeah, 10-7.